Welcome, everyone, to a moment that is undoubtedly one of the most electric, unexpected, and culturally monumental shifts in the modern era of tennis. What is unfolding right now in the heart of the California desert has completely stunned tournament officials, veteran sports broadcasters, and global fans alike. The overall atmosphere, the crowd demographics, and the sheer energy of Indian Wells are experiencing a radical and profound transformation. This elite event, often hailed as the unofficial fifth Grand Slam, has long been a bastion of tradition, but those foundations are shaking. A youthful and incredibly talented athlete from the Philippines is the catalyst for the shockwaves rocking the entire Indian Wells tennis garden. Thousands upon thousands of Alexandra Eala supporters have descended upon California, eager to flood the arena and create a massive wave of energy. This unprecedented surge of support is effectively turning this major American tournament into a home game for the Southeast Asian sensation. We need to examine the deep historical background of this moment to truly grasp the magnitude of what is happening in the Coachella Valley today. Historically, Indian Wells has always attracted a very specific, reserved, and traditional tennis crowd that values quiet observation. It has long been a sanctuary for purists who bask quietly in the desert heat and offer polite applause for exceptional displays of skill. However, the bumper-to-bumper traffic on Interstate 10 today tells a completely different story than the usual weekend getaway. Reports of miles-long gridlock are surfacing, caused not by typical vacationers, but by convoys draped in the vibrant blue, red, white, and yellow colors. These are the colors of the national flag of the Philippines, and they are pouring into the valley in a way never seen before. This is far more than a simple crowd. It is a full-scale movement that has caught the tennis establishment completely off guard. The tennis world has never seen such an intense mobilization from the massive Filipino-American community, which possesses deep roots across Southern California. From the heart of Los Angeles down to the coast of San Diego, fans are arriving in droves to witness their hero in action. Their record-breaking pace of buying tickets has totally flooded the resale markets and sparked an absolute box office frenzy. Rather than a standard professional women's tournament in the American desert, these stadium grounds are transforming into a vibrant, roaring ocean of national pride. This atmosphere evokes the legendary vibes usually seen only at Davis Cup finals, or at the very peak of international sporting events. You might be asking yourself why there is such an intense, nearly fanatical level of devotion for this rising young star. If you are just seeing this for the first time, know that Alexandra Eala is far more than just a gifted athlete with a racket. She carries the sporting dreams and aspirations of over 100 million people on her young shoulders. She embarked on a journey that few from her home region have ever dared to attempt, chasing greatness across the globe. After being born in Quezon City, she moved away as a young girl to train at the prestigious Rafa Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain. She etched her name into history at the United States Open by becoming the first Filipino player to ever capture a junior Grand Slam singles title. However, achieving greatness at the professional level is rarely guaranteed by success in the juniors, and the jump to the women's circuit is notoriously brutal. Eala, however, has navigated this dangerous and difficult path with a quiet and lethal determination that defines her character. To secure the ranking points necessary to reach this stage, she has fought through the grind of lower-level professional events in isolated venues. She competed for years without the cheers of fans, but now that she has arrived at Indian Wells, she is no longer a quiet prospect. She is now the main attraction, and it is clear that the traditional Indian Wells leadership is in a state of total shock. Tournament directors and security personnel are scrambling to adapt to a situation for which they were clearly and utterly unprepared. The energy is absolutely contagious. Concession stands are running low on stock, while the practice courts are swarmed by fans hoping for a glimpse. Rhythmic drumming, synchronized chanting, and an explosion of pure joy have effectively replaced the tennis garden's traditionally polite and quiet atmosphere. This level of raw, unbridled enthusiasm is a rare phenomenon in the often reserved and buttoned-up world of professional tennis. We have seen brief flashes of this intensity before with the rise of icons like Naomi Osaka or the historic championship runs of Li Na. However, there is something profoundly unique and deeply intimate about how the Filipino fan base has mobilized for Alexandra. It is the culmination of years spent watching one of their own struggle, make immense sacrifices, and finally break through. She is winning at the highest level of a sport that has historically been dominated by athletes from the United States and Europe. This introduction, and the startling reality we are witnessing today, are merely the opening chapters of a much deeper and more complex narrative. This is a story about the influence of global communities, the evolution of sports, and the undeniable talent of a woman poised to disrupt the status quo. Now, let us take a closer look at the technical breakdown of this moment, examining the strategy and the massive cultural impact. To understand her dominance, we must first dissect her playing style, which is a fascinating blend of old-school grit and modern power. Eala possesses an immediate tactical advantage on the professional tour because she competes as a left-handed player. She has meticulously developed a left-handed serve that naturally slices away from a right-handed opponent's backhand on the advantage side. Beyond the serve, the real danger lies in the vicious, heavy topspin she generates with her weaponized forehand. It is impossible to overlook the stylistic heritage she gained while training under the elite coaches at the Rafa Nadal Academy. She has often received direct, hands-on advice from the legendary Spanish champion himself during her time in Mallorca. Her forehand explodes off the court with a violent bite, forcing her opponents deep behind the baseline and dictating the flow of the match. Complementing that spin is a remarkably flat and penetrating two-handed backhand that catches opponents off guard. Unlike many players who rely solely on heavy rotation, she can flatten out the ball and drive it down the line with pinpoint precision. This specific shot serves as her sword, allowing her to adapt to various surfaces and neutralize the power of her rivals. By pairing that aggressive backhand with a heavy, Spanish-style forehand, she creates a versatile and overwhelming offensive game. Specifically, the conditions at Indian Wells seem to be perfectly engineered for her unique style of play. The courts in this region are famous for being exceptionally slow and hard, producing a tremendous amount of vertical bounce. The gritty surface grabs the ball and amplifies her topspin, causing it to jump high out of her opponent's preferred hitting zone. Furthermore, the thin and dry desert air allows the ball to travel with more speed, adding extra sting to her aggressive shots. It is the perfect storm where an ideal skill set meets a specific set of environmental variables. But in the world of professional tennis, having the right physical tools is only half of the equation for success. One must also possess the mental fortitude required to step out onto a massive stadium court under the brightest lights. There is a tremendous psychological weight in knowing that thousands of people have gathered specifically to see you represent your nation. Countless young phenoms have completely buckled and crumbled under the staggering weight of such massive expectations. What makes Alexandra Eala so mesmerizing to watch is her icy composure and focused demeanor between every single point. She carries herself with the seasoned poise of a veteran who has already seen everything the game can throw at her. Even when she reaches a critical breaking point in a match, she remains remarkably calm and never rushes her process. She executes her strategy perfectly, bouncing the ball with intentional precision as she follows her established on-court routines. Her incredible mental resilience is rooted in the unique and intense pressures she has navigated since she was a young child. A person is forced to grow up very fast when they are only 14 years old and labeled as the future of a nation. Every single junior match she ever played was under the intense and unyielding spotlight of the national media back home. Every victory was celebrated like a national holiday, while every single loss was dissected with surgical and unrelenting precision. For her, the massive and boisterous crowd at Indian Wells is far from being a distracting or overwhelming noise. Instead, that energy serves as her primary fuel, as she was literally forged in the high-pressure furnace of national expectation. we should also take a moment to analyze the current landscape of the professional tour and where Eala fits into it. The women's game is currently navigating through a thrilling and dynamic era of significant change and rapid evolution. We see heavy hitters like Aryna Sabalenka and Elena Rybakina dominating with power, while Iga Swiatek remains nearly untouchable on clay. Yet, beneath that elite tier, there is a lot of movement and a genuine opening for hungry new players to succeed. Eala poses a very specific and difficult challenge to this hierarchy, because her game is so incredibly hard to read. She is far from a one-dimensional power hitter, and she certainly is not just a defensive counterpuncher on the court. In reality, she is a tactical chameleon who can seamlessly adapt her style to match any situation she faces. She can step inside the baseline to take time away from opponents or grind out points with heavy balls deep into corners. This level of tactical flexibility will be pushed to its absolute limit here on the unique courts of Indian Wells. From the very first round, the tournament draw is notoriously unforgiving and packed with world-class talent. Eala will need to navigate a dangerous minefield of battle-hardened professionals and rising stars to find true success here. But we must also consider the incredible and undeniable psychological impact of the massive crowd we have been discussing. At its core, the game of professional tennis is an intensely solitary and often lonely pursuit for any individual athlete. You are essentially stranded on an island with only your opponent, your lingering doubts, and your own internal thoughts. The cold silence of a massive stadium can feel suffocating and overwhelming the moment the momentum shifts against you. Now, try to imagine yourself standing across the net in this electric and hostile environment against Alexandra Eala. The entire stadium roars with life every single time her opponent commits a costly and frustrating unforced error. The sheer volume of the sound is staggering and deafening every time Eala delivers a clean and powerful winner. Anyone standing on the other side of that net will be forced to endure an absolute mountain of psychological pressure. History shows us that a passionate crowd can literally pull an athlete back from the brink of defeat with a sudden surge of adrenaline. This massive gathering of Filipino-Americans in California are far more than just passive onlookers sitting in the stadium stands. They are active participants, serving as both a psychological weapon against her rivals and a vital emotional lifeline for her. It is also impossible to overstate the profound cultural and economic consequences of this specific moment in sporting history. Both the Women's Tennis Association and the Association of Tennis Professionals are constantly hunting for ways to expand their global footprint. Expanding into the Asian market has long been one of the primary strategic goals for the sport's highest level of leadership. While nations like China and Japan have produced champions, the vast potential of Southeast Asia has remained largely untapped until now. Alexandra Eala represents the golden key to unlocking a massive audience of sports-obsessed fans across that entire region. The Philippines is a nation that supports its athletic heroes with a level of intensity and passion that is rarely seen elsewhere. We have seen how boxing legend Manny Pacquiao could literally bring the entire country to a complete standstill during a major fight. During those moments, the entire nation would hold its collective breath. Traffic would disappear, and even crime would cease to exist. That exact kung level of absolute, unwavering devotion is now beginning to surround this young and rising tennis star. This represents an incredible and lucrative opportunity for the organizers and stakeholders of the Indian Wells tournament. The sudden influx of thousands of dedicated followers is generating massive profits from ticket sales, food, and official merchandise. More importantly, this phenomenon significantly elevates the international profile and prestige of the entire event on the world stage. It creates the kind of organic, high-energy moment that is destined to go viral across every major social media platform. Images of thousands of Filipino fans singing and waving flags while taking over the garden will be broadcast to every corner of the globe. It sends a powerful message that tennis is a truly global sport and not just an exclusive activity for the country club elite. Global brands and major corporate sponsors are undoubtedly watching this development with intense interest and taking detailed notes. A player who is young, articulate, exceptionally gifted, and fiercely loved like Eala possesses a level of limitless marketability. She perfectly bridges the gap between Eastern ethnic pride and Western athletic traditions, making her a dream for any corporate ambassador. We must also consider the grassroots impact this will have on the game of tennis within the Philippines and across Southeast Asia. For many decades, young athletes in these specific regions have naturally gravitated toward basketball, boxing, or even badminton. Tennis has often been viewed as a prohibitively expensive sport, with very little public infrastructure available in developing nations. The high costs of equipment, court time, and international travel have stopped many talented children from ever picking up a racket. However, the simple and undeniable power of visibility has the potential to change absolutely everything for the next generation. A powerful seed is planted when a young girl in Manila or Cebu watches Alexandra walk onto a stadium court in California. Seeing that thunderous applause from thousands of fans proves to them that this impossible dream is actually within their reach. It validates every sacrifice made by parents who spend their last cent to buy their children a decent pair of tennis shoes. There is no doubt that the success of Eala will trigger a massive surge in tennis participation throughout the entire Philippines. This elite training environment was essential to her growth and taught her far more than the mere mechanics of how to strike a ball. Her mentors instilled the discipline of a true professional, which includes physical maintenance and mastering the psychological grit of a champion. That relentless spirit is now the hallmark of the Eala name, and these various factors have merged to create a truly gripping story. Her tactical approach is perfectly tailored for the high bounce of the desert and is backed by a resolve forged under a national spotlight. The massive and unprecedented mobilization of the Filipino community in California has added a profound layer of cultural significance to her run. This journey has transcended the typical tournament narrative and is becoming a historic statement about identity and the pursuit of excellence. It serves as a vivid example of our global village in action, as it follows a young woman who boldly chases her lifelong dreams. The tremors currently vibrating through the Indian Wells tennis garden are just the opening notes of a much larger transformation. The traditional tennis establishment has officially been put on notice as she leads her entire nation toward the elite gates of the sport. Every appearance she makes on these legendary courts is a true event where cultural pride and world-class athletics merge seamlessly. The collective energy is absolutely electric and impossible to ignore as we wait to see how this story develops in the days ahead. Her arrival has fundamentally and permanently shifted the entire atmosphere and level of expectation here in the heart of the Coachella Valley. Tennis is once again proving to be a powerful catalyst for deep emotions that transcend traditional boundaries and conventional sporting rules. Thousands of dedicated fans have come together to turn this prestigious venue into a roaring and vibrant ocean of Filipino national pride. Regardless of whether she advances deep into the bracket or faces a tough exit against a veteran, the ultimate victory is already secured. The entire sporting world has finally been forced to take notice of her immense talent and the massive influence she now wields globally. She has demonstrated to the global tennis hierarchy that the Southeast Asian market and the Filipino people are an unstoppable force. For those of you watching from home, this is the precise moment to start paying close attention to this rapidly rising superstar. Whether you are a lifelong fan of the game or a complete newcomer, you are currently witnessing the birth of a global icon. You are watching a young athlete with incredible grace, and an iron will carry the aspirations of millions on her young shoulders. History will remember the moment these supporters arrived and completely redefined the internal heartbeat of this historic American tournament. We will be right here to cover every thunderous winner and every high-stakes break point and every massive roar from the stadium crowd. Please stay tuned and subscribe for more coverage, and be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. We truly appreciate you joining us for this deep analysis as we continue to follow Alexandra Eala on her incredible journey toward greatness.